Why do we continue to carry things that have already passed? Why do we replay old conversations, hold on to past mistakes, or keep alive memories of something that is no longer part of our life? These questions are not just modern concerns. They are part of the human experience across all ages. In Buddhism, there are many simple stories that speak to this universal struggle. The beauty of these stories is that they do not need complicated philosophy to make sense. With a few words, they open the door to deep reflection. One such story is about two monks and a woman. On the surface, it is short and almost ordinary, but when we sit with it for a while, it begins to shine like a mirror. It shows us how the mind holds on, how we create weight for ourselves, and how freedom comes from letting go. It also shows the difference between outer actions and inner states. Sometimes we think we are pure because we avoid certain acts, yet in our heart we still cling, judge, and suffer. Other times a simple act of kindness, done with clear mind, expresses true purity. In our fast world today, where stress, worry, and endless demands fill our days, such a story can feel like fresh water. We too struggle to move on. A hurtful word, a mistake at work, or a broken relationship may stay with us for months or years. We think about it again and again. We carry it in our body and mind. In doing so, we make the load heavier than it really is. Buddhism teaches that freedom does not only come from silence in meditation halls. It also comes from learning how to put things down in daily life, just as easily as we put down a bag we no longer need to carry. This video will take you on a journey through the story of the two monks and the woman. First, we will hear the story itself, told in a way that lets us feel the scene and the emotions within it. Then, we will pause to look deeper. We will explore the symbols hidden inside the story, the river, the woman, the monks, and see what they can teach us about the human condition. After that, we will connect the story to core Buddhist teachings such as letting go, compassion, mindfulness, and the middle way. And finally, we will bring all of this into modern life. How can we use the lesson of the two monks in our relationships, our work, and our personal struggles? My hope is that this journey will not only give you a moral tale to think about, but also a tool you can carry into your own daily practice. At the end of the day, wisdom is not only for books or sermons. It is for the way we breathe, the way we speak, the way we choose to release what no longer serves us. As we begin, I invite you to reflect on your own life. What burdens are you carrying? What stories do you replay in your mind? And most importantly, are you ready to leave them by the river so that you can walk on with lightness and peace? Long ago, two monks were walking together on a long journey. They had taken vows to live a life of discipline, simplicity, and mindfulness. For them, every step of the path was not only a way to move across the land, but also a way to train the mind. They lived by rules that guided their actions, helping them stay free from attachment and desire. One of these rules was to avoid physical contact with women, for touching could lead to temptation, confusion, or misunderstanding. The two monks respected this discipline and carried it with them wherever they went. On one particular day, the sky was heavy with clouds and rain had fallen for hours. The road they traveled turned into thick mud. Their robes became soaked, their sandals stuck with each step, and the journey felt endless. As they reached a riverbank, they saw the water had risen from the rain. The river was rushing, strong and muddy. To cross it was not easy. Standing by the water's edge was a woman. She was dressed in fine clothes, which showed that she was not used to such rough travel. She looked at the river with worry in her eyes. Her garments would be ruined if she tried to wade through, and she feared being swept away by the current. The younger monk glanced at her and quickly turned away. He remembered the rule: monks must not touch women. He thought, this is not our problem. She will have to find her own way. His mind was filled with judgment. To him, the presence of the woman was an obstacle to be avoided. The older monk, however, looked at her with compassion. He saw not only a woman standing helpless, but a human being in need of help. Without saying a word, he walked toward her. With calm dignity, he bent down, lifted her onto his back, and carried her across the river. The water pushed hard against his legs, but he held firm. Slowly and carefully, he brought her to the other side. When they reached the bank, he set her down gently. The woman bowed deeply. Her eyes filled with gratitude. She whispered thanks and went on her way, leaving the monks to continue their journey. The two monks walked in silence for a long time. The sound of their sandals splashing in the mud was the only voice between them. But inside, the younger monk's thoughts were not silent. His mind was restless, circling around the image of his elder lifting the woman. He kept replaying it. He thought of the rules, of purity, of how monks should behave. He felt angry, confused, and even a little proud of himself for not having touched her. To him, the elder monk had failed in his duty. After hours of walking, the younger monk could no longer hold back. His words burst out like water breaking a dam. "Brother," he said sharply, "we are monks. We took vows to avoid contact with women. Why did you carry her across the river? You broke the rule. You went against our training. How could you do that?" The older monk stopped walking. He turned his head gently toward the younger monk. His face was calm, his eyes soft. With a quiet voice he replied, "Brother, I set the woman down at the riverbank. Why are you still carrying her?" The younger monk froze. The elder's words struck his heart like a bell in the still night. He realized that while the woman had been carried across the river only for a brief moment, he had been carrying her in his mind for hours. The true burden was not the act of lifting her, but the endless clinging to the thought of it. The elder monk had acted with compassion and then let go. The younger monk, though untouched in body, had been carrying judgment and anger all along. And so the two monks continued their journey, but now with a lesson clear between them. The story ends here, yet its echo lingers far beyond their footsteps. It is a teaching not only for monks on a muddy road, but for anyone who struggles with the weight of thoughts they cannot put down. When we hear the story of the two monks and the woman, it may appear at first like nothing more than a small tale of everyday life. A man helped someone across a river, another man complained, and there was a short exchange of words. Yet when we look deeper, every element in this story carries a layer of meaning. The river, the woman, the two monks, even the silence between them, all become symbols that point to truths about the mind and the way we live. It is almost as if the story is a mirror, reflecting back to us our own struggles with attachment, judgment, compassion, and freedom. The river in the story is not only a physical stream of water. It represents the challenges and obstacles that arise on the path of life. Just as the woman could not cross the river on her own, there are times when we too face difficulties that we cannot pass without help. The river can be seen as fear, doubt, pain, or uncertainty. It is the flow of circumstances that appears before us, sometimes calm, sometimes violent, but always demanding a choice. Do we turn away from those in need when we see them standing on the bank, or do we step into the stream and offer our strength? The river also reminds us that life is never still. It moves, it rushes, it pulls, just like our thoughts and emotions. To walk the path of wisdom, we must learn to cross these waters without drowning in them. The woman in the story should not be reduced to her gender or to the simple role of a person in need. She represents all the situations and people who stir up our attachments and judgments. She is a symbol of the world that confronts us with challenges to our rules, habits, and beliefs. To the younger monk, she was a test of discipline, a danger to purity. To the elder monk, she was simply a human being who needed help. In this way, the woman becomes a mirror of our own mind. When we meet someone in trouble, do we see them as a burden, as a temptation, or simply as a person? The way we perceive others often says more about us than it does about them. The younger monk stands for the part of us that clings tightly to rules and appearances. His heart was not free, even though his body was untouched. He could not see beyond the surface. His mind was caught in judgment, pride, and anger. We all carry a younger monk inside us, the voice that constantly reminds us of what is proper, what is wrong, what others should or should not do. This voice can sometimes protect us, but it can also trap us. It keeps us carrying burdens long after the event has passed. The younger monk shows us the heavy weight of attachment to thoughts and the suffering that follows when we refuse to let go. The elder monk, by contrast, represents wisdom. Joined with compassion, he saw the suffering of the woman, and in that moment, the rule was not a wall but a guide to be understood with clarity. He did not break his vow in spirit, for his heart was free of desire or selfishness. He acted only out of kindness, without clinging, and when the act was finished, he let it go. The elder monk shows us that true discipline is not about rigid control, but about living with understanding. He teaches us that purity lies not in the avoidance of life, but in the way we meet it, with awareness, compassion, and the ability to release what has already passed. Even the silence between the two monks carries meaning. For hours they walked without words, but inside, one carried peace and the other carried turmoil. This silence is a reminder that our inner world is often louder than the sounds outside us. We may appear calm to others, but inside we might be burning with judgment or anger. On the other hand, we may act in a way that others question, yet inside we are at peace. The story invites us to look not only at outer actions, but at the state of mind behind them. The final words of the elder monk are like the heart of the story. I set the woman down at the riverbank. Why are you still carrying her? This line is not only for the younger monk, it is for all of us. How often do we continue to carry people, events, and memories long after they have ended? We replay an insult in our head again and again. We cling to regret for something we did years ago. We hold on to the image of how someone wronged us, even though the moment is long gone. In truth, the event ended at the river, but we keep walking with it on our back. The elder monk reminds us that freedom comes when we learn to put it down. Thus, the story becomes more than just a tale of two monks. It is a reflection of the human mind. The river is the flow of life. The woman is the challenge that stirs our attachments. The younger monk is the clinging ego, and the elder monk is the wisdom that acts with compassion and then lets go. Together, they form a teaching that is both simple and profound. Our suffering is not caused by what happens outside us, but by the way we continue to carry it inside. The story of the two monks and the woman is more than just a parable about compassion. It opens the door to some of the most important teachings of the Buddha, teachings that go to the very heart of human experience. When we listen closely, we can hear the echoes of lessons about letting go, about the nature of true understanding, about the balance between rules and wisdom, and about the way mindfulness helps us stay free in every moment. Each of these teachings shines through the story like light passing through a crystal, and together they reveal a clear path for anyone who wishes to live with peace of mind. One of the strongest lessons in the story is about non-attachment. The elder monk was able to pick the woman up, carry her across the river, and then put her down not only physically, but also mentally. He did not continue to think about her. He did not regret his action, and he did not worry about how others might judge him. He did what needed to be done and then released it. The younger monk, on the other hand, never touched the woman, yet he carried her in his thoughts for hours. His mind was heavy with suspicion, judgment, and anger. This shows us a great truth. What burdens us is not always what we do, but what we continue to hold in our heart. Non-attachment does not mean coldness or lack of feeling. It means the ability to let experiences rise and fall without clinging to them. When we cling, we suffer. When we let go, we are free. Closely connected to this is the lesson of right understanding. The Buddha taught that wisdom begins when we see things as they truly are. Rules and vows are valuable, for they give structure and direction to the spiritual path. They protect us from falling into confusion and help us train the mind. But rules alone are not the final truth. If we follow them blindly, without understanding, they can become chains instead of guides. The younger monk clung to the rule as if it were an absolute, unable to see beyond it. The elder monk understood the deeper purpose. The rule was there to prevent attachment, not to prevent compassion. By helping the woman with a pure mind, he did not break the spirit of the rule. He fulfilled its true intention. This teaches us that wisdom is more than obedience. It is the ability to see the heart of a teaching and to apply it with clarity in each unique moment. Another clear teaching in the story is compassion in action. The elder monk did not stand by while the woman struggled. He did not turn away, thinking, "This is not my concern." He saw her need and responded with kindness. What makes his act pure is that he acted without self-interest. He did not help her to gain praise, or to prove his own virtue, or to satisfy desire. He helped simply because it was the right thing to do. True compassion is like this. It arises naturally, without calculation, when we see the suffering of another as not separate from our own. Compassion is not only a feeling in the heart, it is a movement of the body, a willingness to step into the river and bear the weight of another, even if only for a short time. It is action guided by love and wisdom. The story also points to the role of mindfulness. While the younger monk was lost in thoughts of judgment, the elder monk was fully present. He saw the woman, saw the river, saw the moment, and responded. When the act was done, he returned to the journey with a quiet mind. This is what mindfulness looks like in daily life. It is not only sitting still with closed eyes. It is the awareness that allows us to meet each situation clearly without being pulled into the past or pushed into the future. Mindfulness teaches us that each step, each breath, each encounter is fresh and alive. The elder monk's words, "I set the woman down at the riverbank," are the voice of mindfulness. He was in the present, free of what had already passed. The younger monk, in contrast, carried the past for hours, unable to release it. This difference between them shows us the power of mindfulness to free us from unnecessary suffering. Perhaps one of the most important teachings in the story is the middle way. The Buddha often warned against extremes, the extreme of rigid asceticism on one side and the extreme of indulgence on the other. The younger monk leaned toward one extreme, clinging to discipline so tightly that he lost sight of compassion. If he had been alone, the woman might have remained stranded at the river, abandoned in the name of purity. The elder monk, however, walked the middle way. He respected the rule, but did not let it become a prison. He saw the higher principle and acted with balance. The middle way is not about compromise, but about wisdom that avoids both harsh denial and careless indulgence. It is about acting in harmony with the moment, guided by compassion and understanding rather than by fear or craving. Taken together, these teachings, non-attachment, right understanding, compassion, mindfulness, and the middle way, form a complete path. They are not abstract ideals, but living practices that can transform the way we move through the world. The story of the two monks and the woman is not meant only for monks in robes. It is meant for each of us as we walk through the rivers of our daily lives. We too meet moments where we must decide, will we cling to old rules, old hurts, old judgments? Or will we act with wisdom, kindness, and the courage to let go? Every time we choose the second path, we step closer to freedom. The story of the two monks and the woman is old, yet its message shines even more clearly in today's world. We may not walk on muddy roads in robes or face strict vows about touching others, but we face the same struggles inside our own minds. We carry things far longer than we need to. We replay arguments, we hold grudges, we regret mistakes, and we let our judgments about others weigh us down. In this way, every one of us has been like the younger monk, walking for miles with a burden that exists only in thought. The question is, how can we learn to be more like the elder monk, who acted with clarity and then released the moment? To see this, we can bring the lesson of the story into the everyday situations of modern life. Think of the workplace. Many people go to work each day carrying the weight of old conflicts or failures. Perhaps a boss once criticized you in front of others, and though the moment ended long ago, you still feel anger or shame every time you see that person. Perhaps a mistake you made years ago still lingers in your memory, shaping the way you doubt yourself in new tasks. In reality, that boss has forgotten, and that mistake has passed, yet in your mind you continue to carry it. The younger monk lives inside you, whispering, "Remember what happened. Don't let it go." The elder monk would remind you, "That moment ended. Why are you still carrying it?" When we learn to set down the past after we have learned from it, we free our energy for what truly matters in the present. The same is true in relationships. In families, friendships, and marriages, it is common to hold on to words spoken in anger. A spouse may say something harsh in a heated moment, and instead of letting it pass, we carry it for years. Each new conflict reopens the old wound, and soon our heart is heavy with many layers of unhealed memories. This is the way of the younger monk. The elder monk, on the other hand, would see the moment, feel the pain, and then release it, not by ignoring it, but by refusing to cling to it. In doing so, he makes space for kindness, for renewal, and for peace. Imagine how many relationships could heal if we learned to put down the burdens at the riverbank instead of carrying them through every step of our journey. We also carry things in our personal struggles. Many of us live with regrets about choices we made, opportunities we missed, or paths we did not take. We tell ourselves, if only I had done this differently, life would be better. These regrets are like the woman carried in our mind. We hold them close, even when they serve no purpose but to weigh us down. The truth is that the past cannot be changed. Like the river, it has already flowed on. The only question is whether we will continue to carry it or whether we will leave it at the bank and walk forward with lighter steps. Learning to release regret is one of the deepest freedoms we can give ourselves. There are also the small daily irritations that accumulate into heavy loads. Someone cuts in front of you in traffic, and instead of letting it go, you replay it all day. A colleague makes a careless remark, and you turn it over in your mind again and again. A plan does not go as expected, and you stay stuck in frustration long after the moment has passed. These are tiny women on our backs, carried for hours when they could have been set down in a breath. Life is full of such moments, and each is a chance to practice the teaching of the elder monk. See it, respond if needed, and then let it go. One way to apply this story in daily life is to use it as a reminder whenever the mind clings. When you notice yourself thinking the same thought again and again, ask yourself, am I still carrying her? This simple question can bring you back to the present. It cuts through the illusion that we must hold on to every memory, every hurt, every judgment. By repeating this question, we train ourselves to drop the load. We begin to see that the past belongs to the river, not to the road ahead. Another practice is to pause before reacting. The younger monk reacted with anger hours after the event. His mind was full of reaction long before he spoke. In daily life, we too often react quickly, driven by old feelings. If we pause, breathe, and give ourselves a moment of space, we allow wisdom to guide us instead of judgment. This small pause can transform a situation. It can turn an argument into understanding, a mistake into a lesson, and a burden into a release. The story also teaches us about compassion in modern times. Just as the elder monk helped the woman, we too have many chances to step into the river for someone else. It may be as simple as helping a stranger with a heavy bag, listening to a friend who feels lost, or being patient with a child who struggles to learn. These acts of compassion are not about grand gestures. They are about small moments of kindness that arise when we see others clearly. And when we act with compassion, we must also learn to release the act, just as the elder monk did. Help, and then let go. Do not cling to pride or expect reward. Compassion is pure when it is free of attachment. Finally, the story offers a path for inner freedom. We live in a time when stress and anxiety are common. Much of this stress does not come from what is happening right now, but from what we are carrying from yesterday or what we fear about tomorrow. The teaching of the elder monk is to return to the present. The past is gone. The future has not yet come. All we ever have is this step, this breath, this moment. When we learn to live here, we find peace that no burden can disturb. In this way, the story of the two monks and the woman becomes a guide for modern life. It speaks to the workplace, to relationships, to personal struggles, and to daily irritations. It shows us how to transform regret, anger, and judgment into freedom, compassion, and mindfulness. Most of all, it reminds us that we are the ones who choose what to carry. We cannot control every river or every stranger who appears on the road, but we can decide whether to keep holding them long after the moment has passed. True peace comes when we answer with kindness and then release. That is the way of the elder monk, and it is the way open to each of us, here and now. Although the story of the two monks and the woman took place long ago, the lesson it holds is still alive today. Human life has not changed in its deepest patterns. We may live in cities filled with tall buildings, with cars, phones, and constant noise, but the human heart continues to struggle with the same habits of holding on, judging, and failing to let go. The picture of one monk carrying the woman for only a moment while the other carried her in his thoughts for hours is like a mirror showing us our own minds in the present day. Think about the way many of us hold on to arguments, disappointments, or small insults. A colleague may speak to us in a harsh tone, and instead of letting it pass, we think about it all day and even into the night. The words may have been spoken only once, but we replay them again and again in our heads, feeling the same sting each time. In the same way, a stranger may cut us off in traffic, and though the event is over in a few seconds, we keep it alive in our memory, feeding anger long after the road is clear. We are like the younger monk, still carrying the woman across the miles of our journey, even though she has already gone her own way. The story teaches us to live more lightly, to let go when the moment has passed. This does not mean ignoring problems or pretending pain is not real. It means seeing clearly what belongs to the present and what is only a shadow from the past. When we practice this kind of awareness, we give ourselves freedom. The elder monk had the strength to carry the woman across the river because he had already freed himself from the weight of attachment. He acted with kindness in the moment, and then he was done. If we learn to act when action is needed, and then let go when it is finished, we too can move through life with less burden. In modern times, this lesson can also be applied to relationships. Many conflicts between family members or friends are not caused by great harm, but by the unwillingness to let go of small mistakes. A father may still carry resentment toward his son for words spoken years ago. A friend may continue to feel bitterness for being forgotten once. These emotions, carried for years, are far heavier than the moment in which they first arose. By holding on, people poison their own hearts. But if they practice the wisdom of the elder monk, they can forgive, let go, and walk forward in peace. The lesson is also powerful in the world of work and responsibility. Many people carry stress from their jobs long after the workday is finished. They sit at home thinking about meetings, deadlines, or mistakes, unable to rest. Their bodies are at home, but their minds are still at the office. Just like the younger monk, they continue to carry what should have been put down hours ago. The teaching reminds us that true peace does not come from finishing every task perfectly, but from learning to put down what is already complete. We do the best we can in each moment, then release it and move on to the next. Even in the digital age, where people are constantly connected to messages, news, and opinions, this story is deeply relevant. A single comment on social media can stay in someone's mind for days, shaping their mood and filling them with anger or sadness. The comment itself may be just a few words, written and forgotten by the one who posted it, but the reader may carry it endlessly. Here again, we see the lesson of the monks. What matters is not the event itself, but whether we can put it down when it is time to move forward. The practice of letting go also helps in caring for our own health. Stress, worry, and anger weigh heavily on the body as well as the mind. Scientists today speak about how constant stress can harm the heart, weaken the immune system, and shorten life. The wisdom of the story shows us that peace is not only a spiritual benefit, but also a medicine for the body. When we let go of unnecessary burdens, our breathing becomes easier, our hearts lighter, and our days brighter. This teaching is also valuable in times of change and loss. Life is filled with moments where we must release what we love, a job, a place, a stage of life, or even a loved one who passes away. In those times, the story reminds us that clinging only deepens suffering. By gently placing down what cannot be carried further, we honor what is past, while opening ourselves to what is still to come. The elder monk did not deny the river or the woman's need. He met it fully, carried her when it was necessary, and then let her go. We can follow the same path in our own lives, meeting each change with kindness and then moving on without chains of regret. In the end, the story is not about monks or rivers or rules. It is about the human condition in every age. It is about the freedom that comes when we no longer carry unnecessary weight in our hearts. Whether in the silence of a monastery, the busyness of a city, or the challenges of family life, the message is the same. Help when help is needed, act with compassion, then release the moment and walk on. In doing so, we do not only make our journey lighter, we also open space for joy, peace, and wisdom to arise. The story of the two monks and the woman is short, but the wisdom it carries is vast, like a river that continues to flow far beyond its banks. On the surface, it is only about a moment in time. Two travelers meet a woman by a river, one carries her, the other does not, and later they continue on their way. Yet beneath this simple Seen lies a teaching that reaches into the very heart of how we live, think, and suffer. The two monks represent two possible ways of dealing with life. One responds with compassion, acts wisely, and then lets go. The other clings to rules, judgments, and thoughts, and ends up carrying a burden far heavier than the woman herself. When we reflect on the story, we see ourselves in both monks. At times, we may act like the elder monk, able to meet the needs of the moment with kindness and clarity, without being trapped by fear or attachment. At other times, we may act like the younger monk, holding on to anger, suspicion, or self-righteousness, unable to let go even when the situation is long finished. Both sides exist within us, and the story is an invitation to recognize which one we are feeding in our daily lives. The river in the story is also like life itself, full of challenges, obstacles, and sudden changes. Sometimes we are asked to step into the current, to act when action is needed, even when it is uncomfortable. The elder monk shows us that courage combined with compassion can carry us across. Yet once the task is done, clinging to it only makes the road heavier. Life always moves forward. To carry the past endlessly is to fight against the flow of the river itself. The lesson is not about ignoring rules or breaking traditions, but about understanding their purpose. Rules are meant to guide us toward freedom, not to chain us to fear. When a rule is held without wisdom, it can become a prison. The elder monk understood that kindness was greater than rigidity. He followed the deeper spirit of discipline, which is to reduce harm and cultivate compassion. The younger monk, by contrast, clung to the surface of the rule and missed its heart. This reminds us that in our own lives, values and teachings are not meant to be repeated mechanically, but to be lived with understanding, balance, and awareness of the greater good. The timeless relevance of this story is what makes it so powerful. In every age, people struggle with the same habit of carrying things long after they should have been put down. In the past, people carried grudges in small villages. Today, people carry grudges on global networks. In the past, people worried about fields, animals, or disputes. Today, we worry about deadlines, emails, and numbers. The forms have changed, but the human mind has not. We still carry the woman in countless ways, sometimes for hours, sometimes for years, sometimes for a lifetime. What the elder monk teaches us is simple but not easy. Learn to let go. This does not mean carelessness. It means full presence in the moment, doing what is right when the time comes, and then freeing the heart from clinging. It means not living in the past or the future, but walking step by step with a lighter mind. It means understanding that life is too short to be spent dragging unnecessary burdens through the mud of our journey. If we take this story into our own hearts, it becomes more than a tale. It becomes a guide. When anger arises, we can remember the younger monk and ask ourselves whether we are carrying a weight that could be put down. When compassion is needed, we can remember the elder monk and act with courage and kindness, knowing that true freedom comes not from avoiding life, but from engaging with it wisely and then releasing it. In this way, the story is not only about two monks on a road, but about us, here and now, on the road of life. Each day we meet rivers to cross. Each day we meet burdens to carry. And each day we are given the choice of whether to hold on or let go. If we learn to carry what must be carried and put down what no longer serves us, then our steps become lighter, our minds become clearer, and our journey becomes one of peace. So the story ends where our own practice begins. The woman has long since gone her way. The monks have walked on, and now the question rests with us. What are we still carrying, and are we ready to put it down?